What is going on, everybody? Welcome to our first QLTV show. I'm working with BetQL and RotoQL, one of the top projection systems you'll ever find. Absolutely phenomenal. I feel lucky to be working with a company that I basically started off my projections and playing from looking at. That's before RG, before all the other companies. And while I have respect for RG, I have respect for fantasy crunchers and everything. I really feel good about this new endeavor because I feel like they have something unique to offer, both from a sports betting perspective and from a DFS perspective in terms of their projections and the way the sites run. There is a lot to love. Just to give you guys a heads up, I'm coming on a little bit early, so I'm actually going to basically restart the show at 4:30 Eastern time in 10 minutes and sort of probably say some of the same nice things because that's what time we were supposed to do this, but I wanted to get up and make sure we had everything ready. Also, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys. It feels like it's been a while, and it's a great new opportunity. Look what's going on. This is a really cool situation that we've got. We're going to talk about RotoQL, but we're going to stick to what we also do. We're going to go through my lineups, my thought process. We're going to compare it, see what RotoQL projections say, and why I've gone the ways that I have, the projections that I agree with the most, even the ones that I don't, but why I think RotoQL can be so valuable. And I think what we're going to find is an incredible amount of interest in the sports betting side of this because it makes things incredibly easy. And I want you guys to do me a favor, in case you haven't done it yet. If you don't have the RotoQL app, the RotoQL Express, that's the ultimate version of the RotoQL part. That's just takes you. It's awesome. You've also got these incredible pages here on an NBA that I can't give away the premium info right now. I can give away some, and we're going to talk about some great deals, great plays, great bets you can make. We're also going to talk about some great DFS plays, as we always do as well. So it's going to be a show for both. But hey, just like my other shows, you guys dictate what we do also. You tell us what you want to see, what's important to you. You ask us questions. We tell you what we think. That's it. It's going to be me mostly. We'll probably have some drop-ins here and there from some other guys throughout the industry who are some of the top players. It's going to be a good time. We've got a beautiful thing cooking, and it's fun to get it started. And having said that, why don't you guys come in the chat, say what's going on with you. I'm going to take a quick look and see where you guys are at talking about things. This is my first mock lineups, by the way, on DraftKings, obviously waiting on information. Gino, what's up, Gino? How you doing? I was a member in 2017. That's the same one. It's going strong, man. This direction in the sports betting world, and I know I can't give too much away, so I'm going to try to go to. There's one pick I can probably talk about, so I'm going to try and line this up and show one play that I'm going to highlight, and it's an interesting one because we have no idea if Giannis is going to play. But one thing I can tell you is that our projection systems over here at BetQL absolutely love the Bucks. And you know what's interesting about this bet is I could see it working out if Giannis doesn't play. The problem is that hinges enough to where I can take a double-digit spread away. The thing is, the Bucks beat the hell out of everybody anyway. I'm just going to give a quick little view of just that top of that page. Make sure I don't give away too much. I'm going to scroll down for you guys and see if I can just show you one little quick thing. Boom. You can just guess. You don't need an advanced thing, but that's just a little hint of what we've got over here. A 4-star rating out of 5, generally pretty good when you're talking about a 4 out of 5 rating for an NBA game. It's usually 3 would be where you'd feel pretty comfortable. That's a very strong bet. So I would tend to agree with it, assuming Giannis plays, that I would be a Bucks guy. I'm going to get this off the screen because I don't want to give away all the premium info, but that was one little bit that we will touch on a little bit later. Anyway, that's sort of where we're at. And ask any questions about the process. Ask any questions about the new show. Tell us what you want to see because you know how I do things. I show you exactly what I've got. That's what I do also. State Kings, shout out to State Kings, who I also work with. You post action on there. People buy percentages of you just like they do. They do it in poker. They do it for DFS. Another great site that I'm giving a little plug to. But we're all on the same side here. And this is a BetQL, RotoQL show. So that's the most important thing. We're going to talk about their projections about the players. We're going to talk about the projections as far as games go. I gave you the Bucks one already, even at giving up 10 points. Never feels good in a current NBA environment to me to give up 10 points. But with this Bucks team, they just beat the hell out of everyone so badly. It's hard to say that I just disagree with it. So I'm on the side of that one. That's one of the strongest takes from the BetQL people today, and it's one of the stronger takes that I have, assuming that Giannis does play. I don't know that it's my favorite one, but it is a BetQL strong take that I agree with, and honestly, that boosted me up way higher on the play than I was originally, which I was already high on. So it's always nice when you get that confirmation. All right, we're getting a few questions in here. We're getting some thoughts. I want you guys to ask some questions. We got the BetQL/RotoQL people in here too. They're going to be helping us out. Yeah, in that one lineup, Joe Lampy, I love this guy. He's always around. He's always giving me nice, just a kind guy, good guy out there. Feel like we've talked a lot of DFS. Well, he's been in a lot of chat rooms with me, but glad he's here. I'm not necessarily planning on the Greek Freak not playing, but I built mock lineups. I had to get them reserved because they started selling out the big tournaments. So I was like, okay, I'm going to build one as if I would build with no Greek, and then we'll figure out what happens from there. Assuming that he does play, I really like Giannis, by the way. I want to just talk about that for a minute. I'm going to take a little sip here. I have a lot of energy in general. You guys know that, but I do like an afternoon coffee when I'm doing these shows because I think that it's good to be high energy and it's good to be able to respond to as much as I can from you guys. So Reddish and Hunter both probable. Let's see, what 3 players am I locking in on DK? So here's the way I play. I don't lock in more than one play usually, and I don't even usually lock in one. I'm having a hard time not locking in Oladipo. Now, I'm not playing as many lineups as usual. Partly, I'm working with my new BetQL gig, and I'm trying to get, to be honest, I haven't used the site as much over the last couple years as I did initially. So I'm refamiliarizing myself with both Bet and RotoQL. And honestly, this BetQL site is just phenomenal. I mean, I know that I'm working with them now, and it's a plug, but like this is I think this is such a great site. I think the app is phenomenal. It's the easiest way to use it for a DFS perspective. That makes the most sense to me. We're going to have more and more people coming in and more questions. So if you do have any, get them in now because there's going to be a lot more people than we're used to, not just on this show, but on the shows coming up in the future as well. And we're going to talk a lot in depth about the some of the projections that I really like on RotoQL. For example, you can look at my lineups, why I'm having trouble fading Oladipo. Like RotoQL, we've got him at 6.3, basically X on his price. Now, I think that that's a logical number, projected at 26 fantasy points, which we would take at 4,200. Realistically, I think there is upside for 40 plus. I think the minutes upside could be as high as 30. I think it's going to be 28, which is we've got him basically around that 26 to 28 range. But Oladipo is just a really, really hard guy to fade. I'll be ahead of the field unless, like, I don't know what the argument is for fading him exactly because there are there's not like a ton of value on this slate. So, like, do you want to play some of these other guys against, like, over him? Are you going to play? You're not going to play Anunoby over him. You're not going to play Danny Green. One guy you could play as a pivot, and you could also play him together, would be Malik Beasley, who's 300 more. Certainly with some upside, even if D'Angelo Russell plays. I don't think people know how good or talented Malik Beasley is and how fast this Minnesota team is going to play. They looked amazing the other night. I'm looking forward to sort of seeing how that plays out, but that's another guy who I think you can look at. I don't want to play Torrey Craig, but I might because of the lack of value. I keep hoping for this magical value to filter in. And if Giannis is out, everything changes, obviously. But, like, that's where we're at. We're sort of in like a holding pattern to see about the big news that we don't have yet. So that's where I'm at with my current lineups, and that's why I've got them. But I can say quickly that I definitely agree with the Oladipo, Serge Ibaka thinking on RotoQL. One area I don't agree is our projection on Thon McCurr. Now, it's very possible that RotoQL, who is smarter than I am, is going to it's a computer. It's a better program than I'm not a human being. But I have a feeling that McCurr is going to be limited somewhat as John Henson keeps getting more time. I think his minutes are going to decrease. I'm not going to say he's not in play, but at 4.3, I don't feel great about it, and I don't necessarily think the projection of 25.58, while I certainly understand it, I don't know that if it's accounting for Henson's minutes being increased, which I think is, from a speculative, but an informed speculative point of view, is going to happen, just pretty much naturally. Now, there's always weird things that could happen. Another thing I really agree with us on is our high projection for Christian Wood. We also, if you look at the another little piece I'm giving away here, if you look at the app over here, we have Christian Wood as a guy who, look, if you're on the app and you have questions about the app, talk about it, because it is so easy to use and so fun once you just know a couple things. It's like, I could build a lineup with this. One guy who's like really high on here, who's not getting the ownership direction that we're projecting, that we think he should be based on basically what his price is and situation, is Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is one of the strongest fantasy plays on the board, especially at what is currently projected to be fairly low ownership. Now that could change, but look, narratives matter sometimes. Devin Booker loved Kobe. I'm not saying that this is a tough matchup, obviously, and all that. Devin Booker can always get you there at 8K anyway. He can shoot his way into 50, no problem. But Devin Booker tonight fits in with a guy like Siakam, who I see just as having a monster ceiling, which we like both of those guys here on RotoQL. We've got both of them as basically top 20 point per dollar plays at a fairly high price tag. So you don't necessarily need to spend up all the way tonight. Just an interesting thing to think about. So I'm going to try and get myself at least a couple of Devin Booker lineups, and I'll jump over to FanDuel for a minute before we restart the show, just to give you guys a quick look at what I got, and then we're going to sort of restart just in like 2 seconds, because I have a pretty decided point of view. I don't think there's a whole bunch of guys in play. All the expensive point guards I feel like are a mistake. I feel like there's too many players in the 38 to 5,900 range that are going to get 7 to 10x maybe. 6 to 10x, roughly in that range. So even if Trey goes off for 60 again after playing 48 minutes, I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Like even at 60, I'm not really worried about not having him, because I think I can find this combination to get me 80 to 90, and I can make up the other points at other positions. So anyway, we're going to restart real quick. There's no shutting off or anything. We're going to keep rolling. I'm going to look in the chat room in just a minute, but I want to say, hey, welcome to everybody from the RotoQL, BetQL family. I'm really excited to be on board with all you guys now. We're bringing you this show. Hopefully you guys can check out this product, because it is some phenomenal stuff. We talked a little bit earlier. I came on early, so we're just going to sort of backtrack. Guys, you probably already heard this stuff, but I played on RotoQL when I was first getting going. That was, I think it was the first projection site that when I really started playing heavy that I was trusting. And I just found that the projections were the best in the industry. And I've sort of veered away from it because I was working for a company in Roto Grinders where I went that way, and I love the work that Roto Grinders and Fantasy Crunchers and a lot of these sites do. But I'm thrilled to be a part of the BetQL RotoQL family. I think this is a really good fit. I'm going to basically try to be the voice to the numbers that are already as good at projections as you're going to find anywhere in the industry in any form. And what's really great about what we're doing is we're going to talk DFS like we always do, but we're going to get into some serious sports betting, because this BetQL is a fantastic site, and we have a lot of unique information and things that we can talk about, in terms of what types of player. I don't want to pull the page up because I'm going to be giving away the free information, but we're going to talk about, what all the sharps are betting on, what all the public is betting on, what we're going to talk about, every sort of detailed thing that would give you what would be the best sports bet. And we can, do it in a very, very, for laymen, we've got it, we can rate it by 4 out of 5 stars, and we can do it that way. For people who want to get more advanced and you want to see the explanation of all of it, it's all written there for you, and it's all coming here from me. So ask the questions. We're here to get you on the right path. And I just couldn't be more excited to be a part of this family, a part of this organization. And I'm looking forward to a long future. Again, this is not a premium show, so I can't give away the information for free. So we're going to take my normal process and talk about RotoQL as we go through it. We're also going to talk about some bets we like on the night. The first one we talked about that I did show and that I'm going to show again very quickly is basically the Kings-Bucks game. You've got a 10-point spread here, and assuming Giannis does play, which we should have the information before the game, I would call this a great bet, and you can see that our people over here at BetQL love it as well. This is a very simple way of looking at this, but there are other things. You look here, you got the public betting, the sharp picks, the spread odds, the money line bets, the total. I mean, look, obviously you're not betting this game money line because you're not really making much, but it's a pretty safe game to bet money line. I would say that. I'm not going to get too much into the first half odds and the first half money line odds today, because I don't want to totally dilute the DFS part of the show with a lot of the advanced stuff. So we're going to talk some general NBA betting things that I would be making tonight, and I would definitely take the Bucks minus 10. That's where I would lean. Honestly, I would probably even consider something like that if Giannis were out, but I don't think that's what you're going to get. And one of my favorites tonight that we like on RotoQL, but I think is, it's really interesting. And I'm not going to give away all the information. But I will say that one thing the sharps love, and that RotoQL did a great job of picking up on, was uh, there is a lot of love for this Minnesota Timberwolves team at plus 9.5 against Toronto. And I think that's a really, really solid bet and one that I would make. Now, again, not giving everything away, but if you want to take a shot on a long shot money line bet, I think speculating on this new Minnesota team might be worth it. Karl Anthony Towns has been the most depressed player in the NBA this season, and you have a reinvigorated Towns who looks totally different. Malik Beasley, as much as it sucks to go away from a winning team, he's got a real chance to become like an NBA player that we all think he can be, or a lot of us think he can be, and he certainly showed it in his first game. I think that they might play Toronto a little bit tougher. I could also see them getting smoked, so don't get me wrong, but that's why I sort of like, if the game's close, like maybe they pull this one out, or maybe they can go on the road and play like they did against the Clippers the other night. Maybe not quite that well, but at least they could be, certainly competitive at the 9.5, and then maybe a really interesting long shot money line bet at terrific odds. I'm just going to take a quick look at what they are. We've got, let's see. So basically, you're talking about plus 370. It's interesting. It's certainly one that I would entertain. Probably not quite good enough, but it's one that I'm considering anyway. That's where I'm at right now. Still, obviously, waiting on some information out here. I'm going to jump and take a quick look at what you guys are talking about, see what's happening in the chat room. I've been sort of neglecting you guys for a little bit. Thanks a lot to Kenny Hyder. I feel good about the partnership as well. I'm excited. Rick Hoare, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Happy you learn something every time. Really enjoy that. Alex, really appreciate you're an RG sub and I appreciate that. Guys, really kind of you. I really appreciate the kind words. Really, again, just couldn't be more excited to be where we're at. I want to get some specific questions. I want to get some thoughts. We've got Gino saying that Jabari is very sneaky. It is interesting because I believe in that little revenge narrative going back. And at this price, like we saw Jabari once at this price put up like 60 on Milwaukee in Milwaukee. He's a guy who doesn't need an extra excuse to shoot, but he certainly will take advantage of it if he's given that. Guys, I'm also going to remind you while we're looking at my DraftKings and FanDuel lineups, and we'll always touch on my lineups and stuff like that. We are going to have better graphics. We're going to have this show set up. This is the first run. You guys are the first ones watching it. Before the thousands of other people come and join us, we have our nice little intimate group, and we can all talk together. So let's enjoy this little community for what it is. And the one thing that I want to point out about tonight also, that if Giannis is out, while all these guys can crush, they still have a lot of bodies. Maybe making a bold Middleton fade if Giannis was out would be a way to go. I didn't do that in this particular lineup. I see the ownership projections around on Karl Anthony Towns, and I think that they're too low. And I'd like to play him running back. As you can see, I did over on FanDuel. I played him with, which I don't usually do, Siakam and Ibaka together. Without Gasol, I think you can do that in this matchup. I would prefer to have gotten it to Lowry or Van Vliet in that lineup, but it didn't quite work out with what I was trying to do elsewhere, which is playing Sabonis with Oladipo and LeVert. I'm a big correlator. I don't think you need to do it all the time. I think you want to make the best plays. But I think where you can not only find a tiebreaker, but even take a slightly worse play because the game will have to go a certain way if they play that way, that's where I look for the correlation to happen. I also want to usually use it on my highest owned players. Like I like AD and LeBron tonight, and if the game's close, which Booker would be the reason, they both should be fine. But these are guys who are generally in that 55, 65 range. If I'm going to pay up that much tonight because I like the mid-tier, I'd like to go for a guy who's going to get me 65 or 70, or play him at a position where he's going to outscore the position, which on FanDuel, that's what Karl Anthony Towns is all about. That's what you're looking at. And at what's projected to be, I'm not going to give away premium everything, but about 5 to 10% ownership, how can you possibly not like that? How can you possibly not be all over that guy? This is not Marc Gasol guarding him either. Not that Ibaka's not a good defender, but like Karl Anthony Towns is a beast. And if you get the Karl Anthony Towns we saw the other night, even though he didn't get his full run, even though he still got a pretty good amount of run for a 30-point blowout or whatever it was. Certainly like him. You can see I really like Joe Ingles tonight, so I'm sort of flirting what to do with my big buy in here. I could easily make this pivot. And again, we're still waiting on information, so I'm not giving away too much here. But this pivot from Crowder to Ingles alone is going to save me a lot of ownership. And I still think it's worth speculating that at least Mike Conley is limited tonight if he in fact plays at all. Really, really getting some nice messages. By the way, I want to thank a lot of the RG people. Really, really nice messages all day. Really kind, really excited for me and the opportunity. I love a lot of those guys. I was with them for a long time, and I feel like the chapter I'm on now is great. I'll always love them, and they'll be a part of my DFS family. But right now it's BetQL and RotoQL, and that's what we're on. And Alex is completely in agreement. It looks like. What did Sheets say here? The first 50 people here should get T-shirts. Why not? Hey, I'm down. I just I don't have a T-shirt. Like, what do I get a T-shirt with? With BetQL on it? Is it me? A picture of me with BetQL? What are we picturing exactly, guys? Give me an idea of what you want, and maybe we can try and make it happen. In the meantime, I'm going to see if there's anything else we've got going here. Looks like we've got a few more people in chat. Appreciate, guys. Give us the like, the thumbs up. It really means a lot to us. Really, right now this is free content, and you're seeing what I'm doing with my lineups. But also, like, you're going to see a lot more from the BetQL/RotoQL side of it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about some straight sports bets that we like on BetQL. Again, I don't want to give away too much of the information, but the top model plays, that we talked about so far, basically is that Kings Bucks game, and it's betting on the Bucks. And again, the Giannis playing is obviously a factor, but the weirdest part is that, like, even without Giannis, we still think the Bucks could win by 10. Yeah, no problem. That's what they do all the time. So I'm completely on board with that. I just even if somehow the game was like close and midway through the third, I would feel completely fine with that play. I also, one thing we like, and that some of the sharps like as well, are the Heat -5 at the Warriors. I actually, from a DFS perspective, am targeting a little bit of this game because that's a really close spread. I know we have no Jimmy Butler, but these Heat should feast on this Warriors team, and they're reasonably priced throughout the industry. You can see I have either Dragic or none in my FanDuel lineup so far. Going with the lower owned Dragic just for ownership play, although I do like none better just in a vacuum. I'm just going to play the ownership game a little bit. So I went pairing Nunn and Brunson. I went pairing Dragic and Jackson. That's sort of my initial build, the way they're leaning. I feel really good about these builds. The problem is we've all learned from FanDuel recently, we can feel terrific about our builds, but the problem is everybody's going to score a million points. So we're not just trying to have the best score, we're trying to just get a crushing score. And I had the feeling that the scores are going to be relatively higher on FanDuel just because of the weird value on some of the players. I think Oladipo over here is a really sneaky play, where on DraftKings he's going to be 65+% owned. On FanDuel, I think he'll be 15 most, 10% maybe. And I love going with LeVert on the other side, getting a lot of weirdly priced players. So I was sort of okay with just this is my initial build. But you can see leaving unnecessary money on the table where you're going to get huge leverage by playing Ingles over Crowder. Having said that, I would like to have Crowder in one of my two big lineups, so maybe I'll rework something on this. What I'm going to do currently, because I think the WAG is going to feel, was the usual part of our show where we go through and we actually edit down some lineups, make some little pivots, but trying to keep the correlation in order. I wrote a script tonight, but I'm not playing it, so this is sort of what I got for right now. So we've got, it's very hard to fade Oladipo in general. I just don't know that I'm willing to. But if I'm going to be stacking this game, assuming that Giannis is out, of course, let's try and stack it a few different ways. Let's get De'Aaron Fox in one of these lineups. The problem I noticed, though, is if, in fact, we don't have Giannis, I'm a little bit too obsessed with the guard spot tonight. So I think you're going to be wanting a guard in your utility spot unless you want to go double center at the moment, unless we hear about, different value. This is where I ran into an issue when I was trying to build a lineup I wanted before. So I don't think I need Middleton or DiVincenzo necessarily. Obviously, I put Bogdanovic here in the small forward spot. But I do want to keep this basically the same. But what I'm going to do, because I didn't run the correlation play with Towns here, is instead of playing Towns, I'd like to run a lineup here where we get Jokic. Unfortunately, that leaves us a little bit in no man's land. And I'm trying to get this Fox in a lineup thing. So I think what I'm going to do here is actually go back to this and just keep pumping Middleton and hope that somehow people are, I don't want to say afraid of the pay-ups, but where is this going to leave us here? And again, these are not going to be finalized. Nothing's going to be decided until these things are set. But as of right now, like, this is a lineup where if we heard Giannis was out, I'd feel completely comfortable running. I had the Towns as the low play. I actually prefer Jokic in some ways, but I think the speculation on Towns, as well as the ownership might end up leaning me more the other way. And then it gets me back to the other play that I like tonight, which is Miles Turner, who's going to be popular. Maybe I'll make a pivot on this depending on where we think ownership ends up. But you can see just sort of keeping things the same. Obviously, switch Turner and Jokic so you can make late decisions. But you can see correlation is the same, pretty much stacking the same things, not trying to get crazy off the board. You want to keep what you're betting on, and that's betting on Chris Middleton and absolutely destroy the field. That's not an core tight while getting in some of the other plays that you like quite a bit at the same time. So I think I'm going to play 6 of the finger wags today. I'm playing 2 of the 555s, and I am playing on FanDuel 2 of the 444s, 3 of the 66, and then a bunch of obviously the 15s that we want to try and win all the money. And then, I already mentioned the 55s, like that, and then the $4, and, some satellites and whatnot and all that. Going to be I'd say about $5,000 on the line tonight, but it's a good slate. It's a slate where I think it's worth investing in like this, and that's partly why I posted action on Stake Kings. Is I want to be able to give myself a fair chance when people are at mass entering lineups. Getting back to some information over here from BetQL and RotoQL, I also want to point out one of the things that I really like these sharp picks and seeing where the sharp money is going. And again, we're still higher on that Timberwolves Raptors is the one that I would lean on above the Bucks game, but those are my 2 favorites as of right now. And again, if I'm going to make that Timberwolves Raptors a Timberwolves plus 9.5 bet, maybe I just go all the way with it and just take that money line, take my 4-1 or roughly 4-1 and make that bet. It feels long shotty, but if you think about the actual talent level, like this is a pretty talented Timberwolves team. I don't really care about D'Angelo Russell playing or not, to be honest. I don't think it's necessarily going to help them. I don't think he's a winning basketball player. I think the Timberwolves are just fine without him. So I also could see, again, they could get smoked. We saw what happened with Houston's first games where they were the best team in basketball, and then they get smoked by Phoenix. I know they didn't have Westbrook, but still, there was no excuse for that. The NBA is very fluid. Things happen differently. So I tend to like to attack large spreads because in the modern day NBA, nothing should ever be too crazy high with how the 3-point shot affects things. But at the same time, teams like the Bucks are winning at a level that no one's ever won at before. So when a team like the Bucks is only a 10-point favorite at home to Sacramento, that's just too low. That's just way too low. Hey, I want to thank the new subscribers who are joining us. Appreciate it. Really nice. Nice. Again, can't thank the people at RG enough just for writing all the nice messages. They like me, love RotoQL, and this is a happy partnership on the industry in a funny way. We're all, even if you're competitors, you're still on the same team. So one of the other plays I really like tonight is Kristaps. I like him both on FanDuel and DraftKings. I think you get low ownership on him, and I like him in that part of that mini stack. You got Gobert, Hardaway, Porzingis, and then I throw in Ingles over here. I'm debating whether to do it in the big one. But again, want to see how information leaks out the rest of the day. I don't mind overpaying for Christian Wood over here. When you get a guy who's going to be pretty chalky on DraftKings and is absolutely a fantastic play, of course, you know me, but the nature of me is just, let's go play him on FanDuel, where no one's going to play him. So I sort of like building my lineups that way sometimes because the truth is, if Christian Wood gets 40 tonight, it's not going to win you a tournament or save you on DraftKings. It's not going to hurt you. If Christian Wood gets 50 tonight, he's a great play on both sites. You're playing for 50 is basically what I'm saying. You're playing tournaments. I'm not playing cash games tonight with these. This is just a tournament strategy only. That's sort of the way I think about it. Same thing with Oladipo. I'm happy to seemingly overpay for guys when I'm not in fact overpaying. Kristaps is another great example of that. Kristaps I expect to be around 50. Now if he gets you 40, that's no good. If you look at the Jazz recent game log, now this is not going to be something I can pull up and just look at, but I can point out the games and you'll know exactly what I mean. I want to point out against Houston that both Harden and Westbrook had absolutely monster nights that you needed them, or you needed somebody. Against Portland, Damian Lillard went nuts, not once, but twice. So 2 of those last games put up 70 and 70, whatever it was. It was a monster. You needed him to win that night, highest score of the night. Against Denver, Jokic, 70, highest scoring player of the night. Again, before Jokic, highest scoring player of the night. DeMar DeRozan, highest scoring player, point per dollar, I think, that night of the 8K guys. So I think it was DeMar DeRozan. Maybe it was Aldridge in that one. My point is that while the Jazz have a perception of this great defensive team, especially while Mike Conley plays, so if Mike Conley's out, their defense becomes better. But when Mike Conley's in, this is not a good defensive team at this moment. This is not a lockdown defensive team, I should say. It's still a good defensive team. But when Royce O'Neal is being shifted for Mike Conley, who cannot move laterally, that's something that numbers may not tell you, but you got to take a look at something. So it's going to lead me right into what I was going to talk about BetQL now. We're going to talk a little bit about over-unders. And I am trying to decide which way I want to go on some of these. So why don't actually at the meantime, why don't we talk about some of your guys' favorite over-unders? Because I really like the Timberwolves Raptors over-under, which is crazy. Feels like too bold maybe, but I really do like it. I know it's high, but I've been watching the Raptors play really fast without Gasol, and the T-Wolves, like, especially if Russell plays, the defense gets worse, the offense moves faster, lots of jacked up shots by both he and Towns. Feels like a great game for fantasy, and if it stays, for fantasy, if it stays close, and then if it stays reasonably close, it should beat the over at 230. And over here, I'm just going to take a quick look at some of my lines on BetQL because so we've got we're getting the pro edge stuff here. I'm looking at mostly not betting the over-unders as much tonight. I mentioned the one that I like. I'm not a huge fan of betting the. It's just not fun to bet the unders, but it's silly. Like sometimes you should bet the unders. I feel like the Lakers Suns might be a little bit of a candidate for potentially betting the under. 229. You've got some money going both ways actually. I personally lean a little bit. This one is going to be on the underside. So as far as over-unders, that's where I'm at. But I would rather make the straight bets of the Heat -5. I would rather make the bets of the Timberwolves plus 9.5. I would actually, I'm going to go against what we've got here on BetQL. And I won't give away the percentages. But let's just say they like the Lakers to cover this 12.5 against the Suns. I am not so sure I agree. Now, if I don't agree, doesn't that mean from a DFS perspective? So we're going to translate basically how we're going to talk about we'll talk about the game itself and then how does that translate into the DFS perspective. So if this game does stay close, and I believe that will happen, if I do believe in fact that'll happen, let's say that it stays less than 10 points, it probably means Devin Booker, Ricky Rubio, or Oubre, or two of the three go off. I would be less excited about Ayton, especially because his prices in the industry in a terrible matchup are not what you want to pay. But maybe we need to find a way to get not only Oubre and Booker in some more lineups. We may need to find a way to even run it back. So I could just easily make a quick pivot here, really, really, really easy, and play AD or LeBron instead. And here's what I would do. I would go just very simple. Let's get DiVincenzo out of there. Put Booker in. Don't need to hardcore stack that game quite as much in this particular lineup. You go like this, and boom, you've got a beauty with De'Aaron Fox as the point. Oladipo. Sorry about that. But I know it sort of seems like sometimes somewhat dead time, but this is the part of my shows that are mostly I get the most positive feedback on because I am really just telling you what I'm exactly doing and showing you different ways that I'm going to pivot, that I could pivot. I love these other guys here, which is the only issue I have with even playing Booker. I love Bam and I love Siakam, and you'll see them in my other lineups. But in this particular lineup, this is the way I want to go. I actually think I might like this lineup better than how I had it before. Yeah, I think I do. I think I'm going to leave this as of this moment in the 500, drop the other one into the fadeaway, the finger wag, and that's it. Actually, just drop those two. Wait, that's not what I want to do. I want to do the opposite of that. Sometimes you click the wrong way, and then you end up with a lineup in the 500. You're like, what happened? No, I'm just kidding. That's happened to me before, but it's not when I've ever been a part of State Kings or anything like that. Anyway, hopefully this stuff's valuable. I'm going to jump back into the chat and see what's going on with you guys. I really would love this to be a community where you're asking questions, talking to each other, where it literally is hard for me to keep up when I take a few minutes away and build some lineups, because I would love it to be your guys' show as much as it is mine. So let's make that happen. Let's take a look at what you guys have been talking about. I'm getting a nice thank you, Becca. Appreciate that. It's really nice. 100% Gobert. Love Gobert tonight. Really, really love Gobert. Guys, again, appreciate the positive feedback. A lot of likes per viewer so far. So, again, we'll have the QLTV up soon. But in the meantime, this is what we're looking at. Am I jumping all over the Dodgers at 100 wins? With that starting lineup, it would be hard for me not to take that bet. And I will actually I haven't looked at that yet. Maybe on another show as baseball season comes up, we'll talk a little bit about the BetQL takes on some of these season-long bets for baseball because I didn't prepare that for today, but I would like to do that. Yeah, Eric, I'm with you. It's really hard. How do we not lock button Oladipo, right? Like, I almost was going to consider. I'm considering doing it on FanDuel. I'm not probably going to get there because I like some of the other plays, but it's tough, man. It's really tough. Victor's so cheap on FanDuel that I changed his last name to Olachipo. So cheap on FanDuel, he's cheaper on DraftKings. My man, he's way cheaper on DraftKings. All right, I'm just taking a quick look. I did actually miss a few things from you guys. All right, Bucks stacks on FD if we get no Giannis. Yeah, before lock. I think you know what's great about that is you've got pivots and you've got outs, except for like Ilyasova. But like with DiVincenzo, Bledsoe, and Middleton, you've got outs. Who's got the 7 block upside? Oh, Gobert makes more sense than Vooch. Interesting. I think Vooch is the logical, the easier, safer play. The interesting thing about this matchup for Gobert, while I love him, these are matchups that can give him trouble at times with a guy who can stretch the floor, especially if they play Porzingis at the 5. The thing is, though, I mean, even if they play Cleaver is also can stretch the floor. So it depends. If they commit to Cauley Stein, which I don't know if they're going to do with KP in the lineup, I just have a hard time with that. Reddish and Hunter going to play tonight. All right, we already knew that, or at least we figured that. Let's see what else we got here. I got Ibaka and Siakam in the same lineup. Don't they take away from each other? That's a good question. So the interesting thing is, while they do, I treat Minnesota as a ceiling type team. So you can get the ultimate production from similar positions. Now, partly why they take away from each other historically has been because there's been another big man in the mix too. You've got Gasol in there. Before that, you had Joval in there. So we haven't gotten to see as much of them, just the two of them together. At their current prices on FanDuel, I feel pretty comfortable rolling with it, especially where I'm running it back, which is what I'm doing in those cases. So it's a correlation that is not necessarily natural. Again, I would like it to be Lowry or Van Vliet in that lineup, but I think that I can get away with it. I might switch it around. As you can see on that lineup, I've basically got one with Ibaka and Siakam, the other one with Van Vliet. I would like to have it the other way around, but I wanted to play Oladipo in the same lineup I play LeVert to get the somewhat back and forth correlation where I think these guys could both smash. And I wanted to play with Van Vliet. I wanted to pay all the way up for Booker, which I just have to do in one of my lineups on each site, just for Kobe love, if nothing else. There's a good projection for you. Anyway, let's see, seven block upside. Yeah, let's see. Okay, we're looking at some other stuff here. Okay, what happened here? So we got ABC posted a picture of his kid. The Bucks went from, no, man, I can't make that bet yet. I literally need some information. I'm not going to speculate until we hear that. I think maybe if there's no official news and we want to speculate as it gets closer, maybe what we do, yeah, maybe I do have to make one FanDuel lineup like that. I'm guessing we're going to know for sure, though, in the next 2 hours, but we may not. De'Aaron, yeah, it feels good to love him until you realize he's not shooting enough threes, and if you don't want a team that attacks the rim exactly against Milwaukee. They're just phenomenal at defending that. What happens is, like, the Bucks defense completely changes if Giannis is out. They probably play a little bit slower, but who cares? Like, I'm just be all on board. I think the game stack becomes really interesting, and it just becomes of which guys you can actually afford to fade and trying to get the right guys. And to me, you could try and make an argument for maybe fading Ilyasova in one of 4 lineups, or one of 3. One of 2 would be hard, but yeah, no, I think it's doable. 1 of 2, you fade Ilyasova on DraftKings. Maybe you fade Middleton on DraftKings if he gets, but I don't think he's going to be as crazy. So I don't know. I'm just betting Giannis doesn't play too. I'm kind of with you guys. All right. So I think we've caught up a little bit. Any other thoughts or questions in chat? Go ahead. Right now, the thing we want to talk about also about that BetQL/RotoQL, it is a site, like, especially if you look at I like the RotoQL app right now is a little more advanced than the site is at the moment. But if you know how to use the site, it is really, really, really easy to use, and it's great. It's just a terrific one-stop shop is really the best way to put it. I think what you need to do, though, is you need to actually play around with it, because I'm still going through certain things that are like, oh my God, that's great information that I didn't even realize that we had. Because again, I just sort of relaunched with BetQL and RotoQL, And I fell in love with the BetQL part right away. I already loved the RotoQL from before, but it's a terrific site. And again, I'm just sorting through some of our other favorite plays on here without giving too much information away, because the truth is, like, it's hard to do without giving all the information away. But like, in reality, you're going to end up signing up anyway, so it's not going to matter. So that's it. I think that if you're looking like point per dollar, like I told you already, I did give away that we have the top guy is Oladipo. Now, that's not anything that anybody doesn't know. I think something that I just want to point out that's different between us and a couple other sites, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. Our site likes Serge Ibaka more than most projection sites do. I'm 100% with our site on that take on the RotoQL site. Thon Maker, I think I don't agree with RotoQL, but I also get it. We're also higher on Torrey Craig, and that's one that worries me because of the volatility sometimes. And it's not like he's like a scorer, but he can still put up 10x at 3,700 if the minutes are right, which they should be. So I'm open to it. There's not a lot of great value outside of the Oladipo. Then I think that people, if they're not going to play Beasley, which I'm going to take a quick look at the ownership projections, and we're going to see, I don't think we're going to see Beasley owned. And I think at 4,500, I don't care that D'Angelo Russell is playing. Beasley is now not afraid to shoot. Let's play Beasley all the time. I think that's the way to go. Guys, again, leave comments. Please give us the likes in the chat and everything. Got a lot of nice messages coming in. It's just sort of sifting through them while we're talking here. It's hard to do these shows a little bit early, so I think what we're going to try and find the right time. What's the best time for you? Because I know that other people, do watch RG shows, and I do watch some of them, but I want to be committed as close to lock to you guys as possible. So in the meantime, before we have everything set up with the new QLTV and all that, you guys hit me up on Twitter, tag BetQL app and RotoQL app. Let's all get this together. We'll get questions done that way. Again, I'm not going to, please don't DM me because can't answer hundreds of questions individually, but I like answering as many as I possibly can. If I answer one publicly, it saves me about 20 other messages, so I really appreciate that. Another thing that we want to talk about today, again, DFS perspective, this Devin Booker thing is more speculative. Like, it's somewhat speculative, but he could get there anyway. But I do like sort of playing the narrative card in this spot. Like, this is a guy who, like Kobe, he means more to certain people. And basically, anybody who has extra excuses to play a little bit harder, shoot a little bit more, who has the ball in their hands in the NBA, just want to bring that narratives do matter. Maybe one day on BetQL or RotoQL we'll have something about narratives. I think it hasn't been completed yet. Nobody's really figured it out, but it's definitely a science, or no, it's an art, not a science. It's a tricky one, but they matter sometimes. And I guess asking which ones matter each day is probably the best way to go about it until we have that system built, because it's a tough system to build. I'll tell you that right now. Another thing we've got here is for Mike Conley to be projected to be a really solid play. I think that the numbers are misleading. I don't think there's any chance Conley is going to be in any of my lineups on a back-to-back at 5,500. I think the price is fine. The match, everything's good, but I'm not going to play him. I actually am still wondering if he's even going to play. And I think that's the news that is not talked about as much, but maybe that we might hear. I haven't heard anything on that since I started the show, so maybe I might have missed something. Let me know if I did. So a little bit lower on Rudy Gobert we are than some of the other sites. Now, we still like him, but I get why we're concerned. He has had some tough times in these situations. At the same time, he could easily just crush for 50. It really depends on how Dallas decides to play it. I actually think that if Dallas starts Willie Cauley-Stein, Gobert is going to have a monster night. If Dallas starts, I think he probably is going to have a good night anyway. But I think that the worst case for him is probably if they start Kleber. Again, still not that bad. It also matters their starting lineup, because I want to point this out. When we look at, I love Porzingis tonight. You guys all know that, but I want to know who's starting for Dallas before I make my final decisions. Obviously, Porzingis is going to start, but if he's starting at the 5, I definitely think there's some cause for concern that against Gobert and that size, that you could risk a guy who's incredibly foul prone anyway. I do think it's a little bit of a concern for Porzingis. At the same time, while I still like Gobert if Porzingis starts at center, I like him a little bit less, just a little bit, which I think is going to happen anyway. And that's because he can stretch him out and sort of play him. He's not away from the basket. The rebound upside isn't quite as high as it. Am I locking in Booker and Oladipo in all my lineups? No, I don't. Eric, you know me. Come on, bud. You know better than to ask me that question. I am probably locking in Oladipo, which is unlike me to lock in anyone. But no, I have one lineup on FanDuel without Oladipo in it. Actually, I might have two. And I do think that I'm like, yeah, I think that what are you talking about if Boban plays? What are we talking about here? Give me the Boban information that I might be missing. Please don't just troll us here. Don't just mess with us over here and say that it's like somehow he's starting or something. DeAndre Hunter will probably guard Aaron Gordon. I'm just trying to read. I'm a little to catch up with you guys, which is what I said I wanted. So it's going to take me a minute to catch up. In the meantime, get any other thoughts? Bam is one of my top plays of the day on FanDuel. It depends. Like Christian Wood is power forward eligible. I find that I like a lot of forwards tonight, so I'm using a little bit of Christian Wood at center. So I really like both those guys, but I do love Bam. I also want to say, Cody got late today. Cody, we're glad to have you anyway, bud. Always glad you were the first one in. You're always here with us. You guys, make sure while you're doing this, check out BetQL, check out RotoQL, but mostly check out the RotoQL app. That's what I want you guys to be looking at. It is so easy to look at this thing and know who the plays are. If I wanted to know literally, I'm looking at it right now. And you know what's great about these plays? These are somewhat off the board, some of these plays. This is just so easy. Come on, guys, jump on. Like, this is the easiest thing in the world. And I think we need to do that. And just so you know, I'm not making any money off this. I don't even have my affiliate thing set up yet, so I can't even get you guys to sign up through me. I'm just telling you because this is making my life much easier, and it's honestly the best way to view the RotoQL product, whereas the BetQL is fantastic, and I actually really like the site. Obviously, always improving, but at the same time, we have some just very basic information that I could look at and tell you most likely what the best bets are. I told you a few of the number. If you guys want regular straight sports bets, let me know. If you want DFS bets, let me know. You know I'm a DFS guy, but I'm also a sports betting guy, and I'm going both ways. And again, just re-highlighting my lineups on DraftKings. If you guys have any major questions, let me know. Obviously, we have the if Giannis doesn't play stack of the game, along with I just basically played my favorite plays, and this is sort of what I came up with. I think Crowder is in the conversation instead of Ingles. He's down here, sorry. I think there's some other plays like Beasley I would like to get some exposure to that I don't currently have yet. So just trying to work that one out. We do currently have Booker in both lineups, which may be a little bit of overkill. Actually, while I'm saying this, I think I'm going to actually make a few changes here real quick. Well, again, I like Booker a ton. I don't think I need to have him in every single lineup. And I like Joe Ingles, but I don't know that I need to change my whole lineups to get him in. What I do want to focus a little bit on is that Miami game. I think that we have to take a look here at Dragic. Oh, we've only got Crowder at power forward. Get it right. Come on, guys. They keep messing with me with this stuff. I should be able to play anyone at 7K, not just LeVert. And I do like LeVert, though. And you know what? This is a play nobody's going to make on DraftKings. And I'm just going to point out, I mentioned it on my DraftKings show earlier today. 12 for 18, obviously shot the ball well the last few games, but I'll take these scores at 7K. Especially he doesn't have to eat up one of your guard spots. Although I do have Crowder eating up one of my utility spots, which just feels so wrong. Maybe I do have to just fade Crowder over here. Ugh, I really don't want to do it. I really like Crowder. Can't they make one of these guys small forward eligible? Jeez. So frustrating. I also would rather get some Utah exposure if I was going to play Porzingis here. I have Mitchell already. See, I wanted this to be the Miami Golden State stack. I think I take Crowder out, play Dragic. See how that looks before I decide anything. And then I go back to my small forward, which I'm going to take a look at my little cheat sheet that I used. I used RotoQL, actually, the app to make, but I've got it on my computer now. And let's see what we've got. My favorite small forwards, and I'm going to give it to you in my exact, if I had to script what the ownership would be. I have less love for this position, let's just put it that way, than I do, I think, any other position. Wow, I'm very spread out over here. I started to see why I was playing Jiggling Joe. That's a lineup that's going to need some tweaking anyway, but if we did do that, again, I'm trying to keep, I would really like to keep my, I'm playing I like playing speculatively, especially, I mean, even if Conley plays, I like Ingles. If Conley's out, Ingles is a phenomenal play. Now, I'm going to look at my guards now. I could play Reggie over here. I don't like it as much over here. I don't want to go to Ibaka in my utility because I really would like to use the point guard spot because that's what I feel like is the optimum way to play is use the guard spot in your utility. Maybe the answer is as simple as this because I think the only other argument is the double center thing. And I think this is a good way to go as well. And then we play Dragic, which, by the way, as much as I think Dragic is the sneaky play over there, I do think Kendrick Nunn is a pretty sneaky play over here, where he's really cheap. And then we're back to, some average options, but certainly not something to write home about. Probably going to have to rework this lineup as I look at it as it stands. That's a little bit frustrating. I sort of like the rest of the build. It's really not liking the small forward spot that's kind of dictating my struggles here. Yeah, that's basically where I'm at. Oh, I like the Porzingis, Gobert, Ingles run back. What if I played Mitchell? It leaves us in this funny spot with Torrey Craig. So here's what I'm going to do. For the moment, first day with RotoQL, BetQL, I'm going to take a play that they kind of like that has made me some money recently and has also cost me some money recently. He was solid for me the last time against Utah. I think it was the last time I really had a heavy interest when he had 34. And I think I played him a little bit against Utah the next time, back-to-back good games against Utah. The rebound numbers were very high in both games. He put up a double-double in one of those games. We don't have Barton. The minutes should be there. I don't have a lot of great things to say about Torrey Craig. We don't have Barton. We don't have Beasley. That's my argument. I think the minutes are at 37. I mean, you could talk about Bazemore, but I just don't see the minutes upside there. Like, maybe it could go a certain direction, but I don't think so. I think that Torrey Craig is actually in play, and you can see right here, again, not giving away too much information from RotoQL. We currently have him projected at, let's see, we've got him projected. Don't worry, it's not really that hard to find him. It's just, he's actually the fourth highest projected point per dollar play on the slate on our site. So we also get low ownership. I'm keeping the PJ Washington. That's just a sharp play. I don't care what anybody says. PJ Washington has massive upside here with no Marvin Williams there in Charlotte anymore. Let's play PJ Washington for the rest of the season until he's at least 5K, maybe 5,500 at some point. He and Miles Bridges I rate as being similar. You can even look at the points per game. Like, he's just been off, you know what I mean? And I don't expect that to continue. The minutes are still going to be there. I expect if the game's close, he plays 30-plus minutes. I think you might even see like 34 from him. You could even see that high. I think he's safe with upside, and I don't think people realize it. So PJ Washington, terrific play tonight. Loving this lineup. Actually feel really good about it. Not the correlation exactly that you want, but you do have the Utah-Dallas stack. And while it's not a stack, it's a stack in that you're allocating basically, 40% of your salary to it. So that actually is, there are different ways of looking at stacking. I look at stacking with dollars versus looking at stacking versus how many players in what positions. It actually depends on the slate, but for the most part, that's how I try to look at it when I'm at my best. I think it's the best way. I'm at my best when I'm doing that. So yeah, that's a nice little build. You see the cores we're going for. Obviously, waiting on some information that is probably going to blow up some of these lineups. But in the meantime, this is the route that I'm leaning. How many times have I entered the 55? 6 already. So let's play. We already have the show. Oh, I'm not in the showtime yet. Let's play showtime. And as we're doing this real quick, guys, I'm going to let you get some questions in. I'm going to take a minute and load this package really easily on State Kings, who is another one of our friends in the industry, we'll just say real quick. But I like to give a little bit of action, even though I have no need to sell off these things. Some of them, look, people who stake you for bigger things, somebody's going to sell a tiny percentage of some just so some people can maybe have a shot. I'm just going to sell 20% or something like that. I don't really care about the amount of money or anything. It's just it feels bad to win when you're offering packages and then you win on a package that you're not selling. So I try to offer everything I can. It feels the most legit to me. I feel the most comfortable with that. So sort of where I'm at. Let's see if any new news is broken. Nothing. Going to take a quick look at the chat. Okay, so does RotoQL give a huge frown face on Jordan Clarkson? I think that I'm going to tell you what RotoQL says about Jordan Clarkson in just a second, but I won't tell you everything because I don't want to give away the milk for cow for free. I always get this saying mixed up, so skip that one. Okay, I think that the projection's low, obviously, but what we know is that they can't account for the possibility of Mike Conley being limited. Because right now we have Conley at his full minutes tonight. If you take 10 of the minutes from Conley and give 5 of them to Clarkson, everything changes. And then he becomes one of the better plays in the slate. Or one of the better values at the moment, I should say. Not one of the best. Like, still not nowhere near as good as Oladipo, but it's definitely good. 5 more minutes is a possibility for the way Clarkson plays. A little worried he doesn't close because of the lack of defense and Royce O'Neal. Think he has a better chance to close, obviously, if Conley is out. And I'm just speculating on Conley. No matter what, though, even if he plays, remember, I think I'm still betting on him being limited. I think that's still a smart way to bet. All right, let's take a quick look at a few other things. I missed a few things. Oh, Eric Johnson wants props. All right, let's take a look at some props. I actually have not spent a ton of time today on props, but I want to be a man of the people, so I am, I'm going to take a look at some other things. Let's see if we got, where is my props over here? So this is my first time. I haven't prop bet yet using BetQL, but I'm sure that I can. I just haven't specifically used it for prop betting. In fact, I don't specifically use any projections, anything like that for prop betting. If there's someone to bet the over on, I would say one good prop is take the over on Devin Booker points in shot attempts. That's one thing I could say. That's where I'm at, sort of. Thoughts on Thon McCurr? We like him on BetQL and RotoQL. I am not as big a fan, but it depends on how things break. If they really don't play Henson much, then great. But I'm worried that Henson gets a little bit of the run. Let's see. Iggy Revenge. I think it's on the back-to-back. That's what worries me, man. There's a lot of back-to-backs tonight. I don't know. It's a Iggy. I thought about Iggy. I obviously preferred Craig in there. I think Iggy's interesting, but I just don't like the back-to-back. Although he hasn't played all year, which is probably worse. It's just it feels like what am I doing on a big slate playing Iggy? Although I do like 3,700 and being back in Golden State. Does LeBron James become a contrarian play if he's under 15%? For LeBron, that would be extremely contrarian because he's not usually that low. And I don't like him that much tonight. I would prefer, if Giannis plays, to play Giannis. Now, if Giannis is out and you're finding that you have a lot of value, I certainly don't mind it, especially because I like Booker. But I think I give a tiny bit of an edge to Anthony Davis over LeBron. And I'm going to take a quick look, just to give you an idea of who gets an edge from a point per dollar standpoint on RotoQL. I won't give you the edge and where we have them. I can tell you that, like everyone else, we have them both rated as being very solid plays. But sort of along with my thoughts, not the places that I want to spend on this slate. And we actually basically have them as identical point per dollar, which I wasn't going to say everything, but it's solid and it's identical. And obviously there's upside for them against a Phoenix team that has not been playing much defense. All right, let's take a quick look. The model does like the Jazz. Yeah, the Jazz, absolutely, for sure. We don't feature the prop bets. That's too bad. What is Sheets talking about over here? State Kings, one of the packages is 8 cents. You got the 8 cents. Oh, nice. 8, Kobe. That's probably the one that wins tonight. Unfortunately, it's probably one of the smaller packages, but hey, man, you got 8 cents on it. I'm happy to have you as a part of it. I think the Jazz, I like that game. I really like that Jazz. You know what? I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go with what we have with the BetQL over here. I think that we like the over under and the Jazz in that game, and I think that that's what I'm going to have to agree with. That's where I am. It's interesting. Off the board play tonight. Derek White is your bizarre off the board play if other value doesn't open up. Absolutely lit this team up in the playoffs last year. Maybe he finds his traction against them again. Interesting to speculate on these San Antonio guards. Sometimes this is one of those nights where I just Derek White have a little bit of interest. Sheets has got to run. Lots of Clarkson to lock in. Good luck for you, Sheets. A lot of good guards out there tonight. Top center on DK. I love playing the low-owned cat. I'm going to just go to my lineups before I answer that fully for you. I've got Bam as my number one guy, and then I've got Wood as – so I'm using some power forwards in my center spot because I do like sort of double centering, but at the same time there's a lot of good forwards. So a lot of power forward center eligible players. So I do have Christian Wood in one of my two 500s right now. And Eric, yes, yeah, the same question as Bam. It is Bam for me. But, I think Miles Turner is a solid play. I don't like that people will like him a little bit, so I'm not as interested as usual. I just like the low-owned cat. I don't have enough of him right now, but I do have him, as you can see, over on FanDuel, where he's a little bit cheaper. I like Gobert a lot, too. Bam Gobert pairing like I have over here, I feel like is a really solid pairing. But usually, like I said, you want to mostly be using guards in your utility spot or the double center thing with, like I'm using Jokic and Turner in one together here. But I think that is where it's at. There's a lot of good guards, and there's a lot of good power forward / center eligible plays. And we'll see if the Ilyasova thing pans out. I don't even know where I'm going to stand on that. I just have it in there personally at the moment. I feel like the slate breaker could be Bruce Brown. So good pivot, good idea. Not me. I watched Bruce Brown play too much basketball to ever play Bruce Brown. I actually think the savvier play, if he was going to have any ownership, Bruce Brown, I would switch over to Langston Galloway. And I'm going to take a quick look just to give you an idea of what we think of our RotoQL, where sort of just to give you a range. I won't give you the exact point per dollar, but I'm going to give you where we have. See, we like Brown on RotoQL, but we also have him categorized as a volatile player, and in a weird way, he kind of is. But the thing that I don't like about him is the volatility so rarely includes that giant game, especially while Reggie Jackson's on the court. I just don't see it. I could see Galloway taking over more easily than I could see Brown taking over, just from an offensive standpoint. While Brown will definitely, on average, outscore him, at the discount, I would encourage, if you're going to think about making that play, maybe you consider playing Langston Galloway as an interesting tournament play. And over here on BetQL, RotoQL, we basically are okay with him. I think Galloway can get to 30 enough where you can argue that he's a terrific, like, large field, low-owned tournament play to pair with, like, an Oladipo or something like that. Let's see. Oh, my God. We got QLTV. Now, they're giving away the actual goods. I didn't want to give away all that information because I was afraid of I want to be a company man. I don't want to give away all the goods for free. But, hey, 84% of the money wagered on the Timberwolves against the spread tonight. Wow. That's wild. And 60% of total tickets? Oh, wow. Okay. Guys, that tells you something right there. That's some great information that you can find on every game. But, like, there are certain times where it's a large percentage. That's an insane percentage. That makes me like that game even better for DFS. So basically what I also want to touch on is that if you play DFS and you regular sports bet, they both should help each other correlate well. Like, you should be better at sports betting from playing DFS, and you should be better at DFS from sports betting. So if you're looking at games you want to target, like you want to target Minnesota, what does that mean? That means that game stays close and everybody on both Minnesota and Toronto gets a boost of about somewhere between like 7 to 35%, depending on how the game goes exactly. I know it's a large percentage, but 7% alone is enough of a boost. That's a terrific spot. So that's really good information. Appreciate the QLTV people dropping that in. Dan, thanks a lot for doing that. Dan's a great guy, by the way. He's the guy I've been working with at BetQL and RotoQL. So I want to say quick shout out to Dan. He's been terrific so far. We're in the infancy stages, guys. So you're here with us at the beginning. And again, we'll bring some other people in and have some back and forth. It's always weird doing shows alone, but I actually think with your guys, like, back and forth. I don't think I'm actually doing it alone, so I really appreciate you guys being here to check it out. Svi is interesting at 3.3. What do we think on his minutes? Let's see what we think on RotoQL, and I won't give you the exact number, but I'm going to think if we think Svi is viable based on a minutes projection. So based on our minutes, I don't know if we maybe haven't updated most recently, or I will take a quick look to see something. Maybe we had Svi as a question mark still, and that's why the numbers weren't updated quite right. No, we've got him. I've got him like that in some of my old models and old projection systems. Certainly could play 20 minutes, but actually, you know what? He probably takes away from the Galloway play and the Brown play, to be honest with you. Detroit's becoming less interesting by the second, although I do like Reggie Jackson's price on FanDuel and upside. Russell. What about Russell? Oh, Russell. Oh, because there's no reason to play Russell tonight. It's not a good matchup for him at all. It's a terrible matchup. It's a good matchup in that it's going to be at pace, so I get it. Like if you want to take a shot, I would rather take that shot on a low on Devin Booker at shooting guard or on DK just at guard I would call it because all the guards are good. Yeah, I mean I can't get behind this. Oh, Svi got ruled out. Wow, look how behind I am with your guys' chat. Svi is ruled out, which actually back to the Galloway play. Still now interesting. Unfortunately, Markieff Morris even affects that a little bit. It makes it a little bit less interesting. I also think that it makes Thon Maker less interesting, which I don't think any of the sites I've looked at have quite fully accounted for, because Maker's minutes, there's like some massive volatility in Maker. So I'm going to take a quick look at my ownership projections on Maker and see if he's still viable. I don't know that I think he is. That's my personal take on this slate. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Guys, get some QQs in before we get out of here. We generally want to keep the show about an hour. We're going a little bit long today, which is cool. I know some of you guys are going to jump out of there and go watch Roto Grinders. Again, hit us up on Twitter with any questions. We'll have the new site information given out to you guys as soon as possible. Really appreciate all the good stuff. You guys are just like terrific, and really appreciate everybody hanging in there with me through all these days, and really excited to be partnered here with BetQL. Really couldn't think there was like a better match in the industry for a guy like me. So that's where we're at. Again, want to reemphasize, we like the Timberwolves. I like the Timberwolves Minnesota game. You can see a little preview of that on my FanDuel lineup currently in my 555s, and I even have Van Vliet in the other one. Even with Lowry back, maybe we get lower ownership. And I didn't touch as much on Siakam on DraftKings because there's a lot of guys in the 8K range that I like a lot. But I do really like him as well and might even try and get more exposure. Sabonis is a FanDuel only play for me. The other guys I feel great with on both sides personally. Hardaway I like better on FanDuel. Crowder and Ingles I like better on FanDuel. LeVert is better on FanDuel. And let's see. Yeah, Nunn, Brunson, Reggie, and Dragic. Yeah, all of them. All the point guards I'm using basically are much better plays over here, and I don't have as much interest on DraftKings as I do on FanDuel. With the exception, I do like Dragic on DraftKings. A little bit worried about the back-to-back, but feel good enough about it to where I'm going to take that shot. All right, guys, get some QQs in. We're going to get out of here shortly. We're going to talk it over. Give us some feedback. Send some messages out. Tag us on Twitter. Hey, I'm not afraid of anything. Say your exact thoughts on the show. Give us the goods. Give us the bad. What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? Who would you like to see with me? Who would you like to not see with me? Whatever it is, just let us know your thoughts. Any hate and love, not at this price. Sorry, man, not for me. Thoughts on Giles? I don't think I'm going to go there on this slate, but I kind of understand where you're coming from. Weird. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do it though. Anyway, guys, you guys have been terrific. Really appreciate it. We're going to end this stream in about 30 seconds, so hopefully get your last questions in, and you guys can keep rewatching this stuff. Again, please, the like and the thumbs up, always appreciated. Make sure you're subscribing to BobbyFi as well. We'll have the QLTV for you guys up as soon as it's up. The QLTV people will drop that information, and we will put it up on our next show. I'll put it up on Twitter. We'll put it up everywhere because, honestly, we want to make sure you guys can find us. Anyway, it's been great hanging out with you guys. I really love it. I really appreciate it, and I hope that we keep this going. Again, let us know what you think. If there's any negatives, happy to hear. I'm not a guy who's I'm overly sensitive, but at the same time, I take constructive criticism fairly well. It's a weird combo. Anyway, give it to me because we want to make this the most enjoyable experience for you, and I want you guys to get the most out of BetQL, QLTV, and the RotoQL BetQL family. So that's where I'm at. You guys have been terrific. Thanks so much. I'm BobbyFi. We will see you at the top of the leaderboards, and couldn't be happier to be a part of the BetQL team. Thanks, guys.